Coming up on News 2, local leaders, members of the broader VI community, and business owners all came together in the nation's capital to discuss the VI economy. Highlights from the summit. Detectives on St. Croix have arrested a 31-year-old man and charged him in connection to a 2008 cold case that left 2 victims wounded. Plus, officers are stepping up enforcement of the vehicle tint law. Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. Government House released a report Saturday that shows both revenues and expenditures down for the first 7 months of this fiscal year when compared to 1 year ago. Governor DeYoung said expenditures are actually down $32 million because of controlled spending, but more needs to be done to fill the $19 million shortfall.
I read in a couple of articles with respect to some of the ideas of senators, which may have some merit for the long term. By the time you put the mechanisms in place with respect to any required legislation, you put the mechanism in place to implement it, those may be viable alternatives going into fiscal year 14, fiscal year 15. So I don't discount that. But I acknowledge that they may have a plan, and clearly they're working on a plan. And if their plan is better than my plan, and clearly some believe that their plan will be better than mine. If their plan is better, or if they have a plan that is viable and can bridge that $19 million gap in cash, because we have to be able to address the 8% if they want that to come back, and that's good $7 to $8 million, and also pay health insurance.
Meanwhile, Senator Kenneth Gittens says more cutbacks need to come from the executive branch. He responded last week to the governor's comments that the legislative branch needs to take more action.
We've met with the governor time and time again, and he and his financial team has not been forthcoming with actual numbers and or real-time information regarding the budget shortfall. The governor needs to be truthful in his statements and careful in his actions. Granting big salaries or raises while there's a freeze, paying a percentage of retroactive back pay for a re-election bid, and swindling the people to pay for private home improvements are just some of the mismanagement that we've continued to see. Nothing but waste, fraud, and abuse. Our territory's financial problems have clearly derived from mismanagement and splurging of government funds. Let's spend wisely and discontinue the political hires, discontinue political raises, park up the government vehicles at 5 p.m. to include all commissioners, and discontinue all cell phones and reduce rental spaces.
Keeping informed on all the happenings in the territory is not as simple as it seems. While the internet and a quick call home to loved ones get some folks by, for others, a deeper understanding of where the territory is going drives them to want to learn and do more. That's how the USVI 2013 Economic Development Summit was born. News 2's Washington, D.C. correspondent Natafa Romain shares this report.
We need to sit down with the folks that make the decisions and just get in a room so they know that we're concerned as well. And I picked up the phone, set up a meeting with the Congresswoman right before inauguration, and that led to a meeting with the governor when he came up in February for his Governors Association meeting. We did not know then that that meeting would lead to the summit. We just knew we wanted to start something that would be an activity that we could say we're starting a process.
After a meeting with Governor John DeYoung Jr. and Congresswoman Donna Christensen, the USVI Alliance and 340 Group LLC of Washington, D.C. sprung into action.
The governor charged us with bringing Virgin Islanders together in a room in D.C. along with others who might be interested, but primarily Virgin Islanders who live away, because he kept talking about all these wonderful opportunities in the territory. And I said, well, respectfully, I don't think our folks know that there are these opportunities because we only hear the negative sometimes.
Panel members laid out potential economic opportunities for businesses and Virgin Islanders living abroad to come back to the territory.
Let's be real. If we want our economy to grow, we are going to have to attract some new talent to the Virgin Islands. So it's one of our goals to attract earners, people that make money, build houses, buy cars, and spend in our stores. And that's the only way we'll have a thriving small business.
The Virgin Islands has deemed preferred bidders under our local procurement, which means the government of the Virgin Islands has said that Virgin Islanders are important to us, whether they're within the territory or outside the territory. So we've got a statute under 31 VIC, section 236A, that deems a Virgin Islander a preferred bidder.
For those Virgin Islanders and the entrepreneurs, look at the Virgin Islands as an opportunity. Maybe you can move back home right now. Maybe you have other responsibilities, but we're looking for IT, we're looking for training, we're looking for small business development. You know, put your name on the property and procurement list. Put your name on the certified vendor list of the Economic Development Commission. Put your name with the RT Park. Come back and get involved that way. And I think if we do that, then I think the flow of dollars within the Virgin Islands community is always beneficial, because every Virgin Islander that lives here, whether it's DC, Maryland, Atlanta, Florida, New York, has a Virgin Islander at home that they're taking care of, so it helps the dollar stay there.
Fantastic information, and I mean, they're good information for me to just be updated and be totally familiar with what is happening in the Virgin Islands, as I'm not always there. But also the companies that are here are telling me this is great information, this is just what they need to hear as they think about whether they'd like to bring some business investment to the territory.
In the end, all in attendance walked away with the hope and understanding of the opportunities that exist.
Now, given the day and a half that we've had together, we know we have a lot of things on the plate to start working on that will engage the diaspora a lot more in helping to build the Virgin Islands in the future.
From Washington, D.C., Natafa Romaine, News 2.
Again, the summit was produced and presented by a collaborative called the USVI Alliance, which includes the 340 Group LLC. Members of the alliance are based in the Washington, D.C. metro area, New York City, and St. Thomas VI. Work on 2014 is already underway. Detectives on St. Croix arrested 31-year-old Aman Thomas on June 7th and charged him in connection to a 2008 cold case that left 2 victims wounded. One of the victims, Shadrach Fred, was shot to death a week later as he recuperated in the Governor Juan F hospital. That case is still under active investigations, detectives say.
He is charged with attempted first-degree murder in connection to that case, which occurred on May 12, 2008. Where 2 men aged 28 and 25 were shot in a St. Catherine's Rest. Thomas had been incarcerated at the Golden Grove Adult Correctional Facility on separate charges and was transferred by the BOC to a stateside prison. He was brought back to the territory at the request of detectives to face new charges of first-degree murder. Thomas's bail was set at $250,000, and he was remanded back to the correctional facility pending further court action.
On St. Croix, police are investigating a non-fatal shooting on June 10th at 1:45 a.m. The male victim told police he was at an abandoned home in a state Scion farm when an unknown man in a red Grand Vitara stopped and asked if he had drugs for sale. When the victim denied knowledge of what the man was talking about, a backseat passenger fired several shots at him. At least 1 shot hit his hand. Police found shell casings but have not yet located the suspects. Traffic enforcement officers on St. Thomas are investigating a fatal 1-car accident where 1 female lost her life. The victim, Helen Samuel, was driving her silver Toyota Corolla on June 9th at 2:45 a.m. Heading east on Harwood Highway. She lost control of her car near the cemetery, colliding into a nearby utility pole. Medical personnel arrived on the scene but did not detect any signs of life on the victim. An investigation by traffic investigation officers is ongoing to determine the cause of that accident. Meanwhile, in St. Croix, police are also investigating 3 burglaries. On June 8th, a male victim said he was approaching his apartment in Christiansted when a man in black pants and a khaki hoodie pressed a hard object against his back and demanded money. The suspect fled on foot with $600 in cash. On the same day in Frederiksted, a female resident was re-entering her house from her porch when she saw an unknown man. She ran to a neighbor's house to call police. The resident said the man who took $118 in cash must have entered by a back door that was unlocked. Also on June 9th, 2 males wielding handguns robbed Consumer gas station in Estate Pleasant and fled in a white Hyundai. Criminal Investigation Bureau detectives are following up on all 3 cases and ask for your help if you can help in the investigation. Traffic Investigation Bureau officers as well as the VI Police Department are stepping up enforcement of the vehicle tint law. The VI code states that improperly tinted vehicles are not allowed to operate on public streets, and also prohibits the use of colored or tinted material to cover license plates. Private vehicles of all police officers and civilian personnel are already being checked for compliance. Police officers will be on the road asking vehicle operators to remove illegal tint, in addition to showing proof of registration and insurance. Tint meter clinics might also be soon, allowing traffic enforcement officers to check if your tint is within legal limits.
All owners of vehicles in the Virgin Islands are asked to be aware of these laws for the safety of everyone who uses the roads and highways, and it is the responsibility of every driver to adhere to these regulations.
The man who exposed to classified surveillance programs says he did it to inform the public. Edward Snowden says the programs can target Americans, which contradicts previous statements from the White House. Snowden fled the country and believes the U.S. government will come after him. Tara Mergener has the latest from Washington.
Edward Snowden says he's the one who leaked classified information about 2 secret government surveillance programs to the press.
Any analyst at any time can target anyone.
Snowden told the Guardian newspaper's Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras he worked as a contractor for the National Security Agency in Hawaii.
I, sitting at my desk, certainly had the authorities to wiretap anyone, from you or your accountant to a federal judge to even the president.
That's different from what the White House has revealed about the phone and internet monitoring programs. The Obama administration says the government only collects data and does not target U.S. citizens. The White House insists the surveillance is designed to protect against terrorist threats, and the president says the programs are under strict judicial supervision. Several members of Congress say they are concerned about government eavesdropping and want to know more.
The investigations will be very serious. Obviously, we'll be dealing with a balance between national security and safeguarding our civil liberties.
Snowden fled Hawaii last month and is now living in a Hong Kong hotel room, but he believes the government is coming after him.
If they want to get you, they'll get you.
The NSA has already asked the Justice Department to launch a criminal investigation. Tara Mergener for CBS News, the White House.
And keeping our eye on the economy, stocks fluctuated between small gains and losses, even though the credit agency Standard & Poor's raised its outlook for the U.S. from negative to stable. The agency also predicted an improving economy. The Dow fell more than 9 points. The Nasdaq rose 4.5. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow down 9, Nasdaq up 4. Coming up on News 2, an aviation program is about to take off as early as this fall at the St. Croix Educational Complex. Details on that. Plus, how difficult is it to live off of limited resources? That's what the aim is, and Congresswoman Donna Christensen is about to take that challenge. Well, for the second year, Congresswoman Donna Christensen will take the food stamp challenge for 1 week. Starting Wednesday, Christensen will live off the amount a food stamp recipient receives a week, $31.50, in support of the Fighting Poverty with Faith initiative. This will bring attention to how difficult it is to survive on limited resources. The Food Stamp Challenge is a nationwide event intended to preserve funding for vital nutrition benefits during a time of record poverty and high unemployment. There's been no delay in the processing of extended unemployment compensation checks. Department of Labor officials announced Friday that they plan to stop processing checks temporarily in order to recode and program a new formula requirement. Acting Labor Commissioner Lockhart said the action was necessary to validate the accuracy of all checks being processed and eliminate the possibility of distributing erroneous checks generated by the system. Labor officials confirmed, however, that there was no interruption in the processing of checks on Friday or Monday. Well, as early as this fall, the St. Croix Educational Complex could offer a 4-year aviation program. Complex Principal Willard John has been searching for a funding source, and the department has found one. They also plan to partner with aviation companies to help with the program.
We're already doing this during the summer, where they go to the various post-secondary institutions and aviation programs in the states where they actually have flying lessons and some other training regarding aviation. So we're very excited. We think this is really going to get off the ground.
Our main objective here is to give them a head start in aviation industry. By the time they finish this program, they will have 27 to 30 college credit, which give them a big head start if they want to advance their career in the industry.
Well, it's National Men's Health Week. This year's theme is Action Men, Turning Words into Action. Health Commissioner Doris Plaskett urges men and boys to seek regular medical advice and early treatment and to take advantage of the DOH's activities this week. Community Health Clinic physician Lee Whitaker will appear on the radio starting Wednesday, June 12th, to discuss topics on men's health issues. Discussions will also focus on services available to young men at the Department of Health through its family planning, mental health, and STD, HIV, TB programs. Men and boys in the territory are encouraged to set up annual appointments with a health care provider or contact the department's community health clinic. Those numbers are 773-1311, extension 3222, that's on St. Croix, and 774-7477 in the St. Thomas St. John district. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.